Some journeys don't start with a pitch deck, they start with a pit in your stomach. The audition that didn't land, the invoice that didn't clear. The question, is that sustainable? Welcome back, listeners, to today's episode on the Biz Blend podcast. I'm your host, Sana, and today we are sitting with someone who answered that question by turning the starving artist grind into a product that solves a very human problem: confidence and craft. From the West End and Cannes to Founder Institute, from rejection cycles to a 2,800 strong waitlist, this is the story behind Accentify, why it had to exist, and what it takes to move from surviving to shipping. So, listeners, meet my incredible guest, Elijah Khan. And Elijah, welcome to the show. And yes, let's get down to the conversation. I'm really excited.
Thank you for having me here. I'm really excited.
Okay. So, Elijah, before the brand and buzz, let's try to understand how exactly Accentify was born. Like, what exact pain made Accentify non-optional for you? Like, if you can describe the moment you realized no one else is fixing this, so I have to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a big question. Just before start about that, you mentioned in the intro 2,800 strong waitlist. We are way beyond that now, which I'm really happy to say. We actually have over 6,500 users, 4,000 people in the waitlist, and we're used in over 116 countries worldwide, which is breathtaking. It's been a long journey to get here, and I'll tell you exactly where we started from. So I trained as a professional actor. I went to drama school. I have a degree in acting. I don't know if that's okay, that might be a silly decision now looking back on that, but I have actually had a decent career as an actor since then. Done TV, theater, movies, acted around the world. So I'm really privileged in that regard to have the opportunity to be able to do so. But one thing that comes with acting is you need to have a massive amount of skills. Okay, acting is great, but you also have to be multifaceted as an artist. One of the key skills you need is accents. Now, there's actually in the UK, we have a database called Spotlight, and that is essentially whether you are a nobody or the most famous British actor in the world, you are on Spotlight. It's a directory of actors. And the very first, right at the top after languages, is accents. What accents do you know? Especially in the UK, you need to know the American accent, and then you need to know regional accents around the UK. Now, there are so many accents. Just in London, there's like, it goes off the charts how many accents there are. So keeping on top of this is really difficult. It's easy to do an impression when you're with some friends, but to do it at a professional level and to a really high degree and to win that audition when you're competing with thousands of others is stressful, it's hard, and it takes a lot of work. I did a lot of things in the past to work on my accents. Like, I used to live with an actor, and we used to speak in a different accent every single day, just to be in that immersive position of knowing how it feels to talk and walk in that accent, to breathe that accent, but you don't know if you're going the right direction or the wrong direction. You can use YouTube, but that's also unsustainable. And as an actor who's living on an actor's salary and bartending on the weekends and the evening, we didn't have the money to pay triple figures per hour to an accent coach. So I just knew there had to be something. And there was a point like in mid 2023 where the idea started forming for me, and I didn't know exactly what it was. I have a whiteboard over there, in fact, just in the corner of my room still, and it still says the first name of what I'd given the what is now Accentify. I called it Accent Accelerator, and I just started brainstorming the ideas. Then I took it to through Founder Institute after that, but it was around mid 2023 is when I initially had that idea. I wanted to give you a bit of backstory on that as well.
Please. Go ahead, Elijah. So, I think first of all, it's very safe to say it's a very unique idea, very crucial pain point to identify. And I think, like personally, if I can say, um, we don't even realize the fact that when we see people on the stage, um, there is definitely a lot of homework done behind that craft, behind the techniques. It's kind of a misconception or an assumption that this is very easy to do. You just have to do something and that's it. You are going to grab your attention and that's it. You are done.
Yeah.
But I think you have really, really brought up the actual, like, behind the scenes, the BTS which happens. So yeah, very interesting, Elijah. Very interesting business model and pain point. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of work that goes into acting. Um, it's not. I mean, we have to be classically trained as actors, and when you're going for an audition, there's a saying in the industry like, for every 100 auditions, for every 100 submissions you get like one audition. For every 100 auditions, you get one callback. For every 100 callbacks, you get one pencil, which is basically a maybe. And then for every 100 pencils, you get one job. It's a little, it's the numbers are hit different here or there, but it's essentially saying how difficult it is. So the more skilled you are and the better you are at those skills, the higher the chance you have. It's very demotivating when you walk into an audition room, you think you're a great actor or you're talented. When you walk into an audition room and every single person there looks like you, walks like you, talks like you, breathes like you. So what can you do to stand out? You just have to have a little bit something else. And there's a lot more politics behind it as well, which we can go into another time. This is much more business focused. So we can crunch on that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we are in that modern day and age, where people actually, you know, let's say the consumer or the viewer or the listener, they are very much actively um, engaging about these specific aspects. That if you're an American actor who's trying to do a British accent, or if you're an Indian actor who's trying to do American or vice versa, then how well you have gotten yourself into that craft. So I think, yeah, I think this is something very interesting, once again, if I can say. And then moving on, Elijah, you have been an actor, but then also a marketer and a founder. Which skill transferred cleanly and which one misled you in the first 90 days of Accentify?
Wow, that's a great question. Uh, which skill led me? Was that your first question? You said.
Which skill transferred cleanly and which
Transfer
skill
clean.
led?
I mean, I guess you could say unbelievable risk taking. I don't know. If my parents are going to be too pleased about like becoming an actor and then becoming an entrepreneur right after that. No stable income, no stability, massive risk. But what it did give me, like if I'm being serious about it, is that creativity. Like you need to know, like I was just mentioning about acting, what can you do that's a small nuanced thing in the audition room to book the role or to stand out or whatever it might be. It's the same thing that transfers into business. You have to put yourself out there. You have to find creative ways to solve problems. And let me tell you, there are problems that arise 100 times a day in the startup world and the business world, and you have to be able to figure out creative solutions to address them. Um, Continuously, even from the marketing time as well, you would think things are just very straightforward. We're doing digital marketing and we are launching ad campaigns for clients, but there'll be a issue which comes up, for instance, in the back end of the Facebook Manager, which you've never seen before. You're the first person essentially to see it. How are you going to tackle that? Creativity is, I think, one of the number one skill sets you need that transfers from artistry to entrepreneurship. Um, it's so important. Then I'll say the one thing that misled me, that's a great question. Um, I would say there can be times, and this is something that happens with a lot of entrepreneurs, is complacency. Especially when you start to take off, you can start to get complacent. In the first 90 days, when you're building that momentum up, well, it was a little bit different for me because I actually was in a 9 to 5 before this, and I worked as a marketer, and I did a classic entrepreneurial grind of working in the afternoons on my lunch break, in the evening, in the mornings to build up my digital marketing agency. And by the time I had that, um, set up, I was and I quit my job during COVID. I had already had a stream of clients. So that 90 days was buffered by the fact I had a 9 to 5 at that time that was basically learning on the job. But what I'd say the key thing for anybody listening to this is don't get complacent. It's really easy to automate everything and just let like AI tools or specific email automations or whatever it might be do everything for you. Delegation and automation will crush your business realistically. And you'll hear a lot of gurus say that, the key to entrepreneurship, where everybody's getting in for, is so you can delegate everything and kind of only work 1 hour per week or 1 day per week or something. That is not the way to do it. You need to and this couples with maybe a secondary piece of advice, is you need to have a deep understanding of all aspects of the business, from sales to finance to marketing to copywriting to whatever else you're doing. You need to understand every single part of it deeply. Then when you come to delegation or automation, you have a direct involvement in all of that without stepping away too much. Do not step away too much, because and then you'll start asking yourself, why is my business not growing, or why is it stagnating, or even worse, why is it going down? And that is the reason you've delegated too much and you've automated too much of the business.
Wow. Elijah, I must say that yes, uh, I have been doing so many conversations on this blend around, the leadership skills and delegation and automation and AI and all that stuff. But I think this particular aspect, I think it really, really um, pushes us to think from a very different perspective, especially when it comes to early stage founders or someone who's just starting. I think I'm absolutely agree with you, Elijah, because until unless a founder, um, an entrepreneur is not into those areas, those functions, those departments, whatever we can say, I think that level of understanding and communication while delegating, or even, putting another person in that particular position or place, it won't suffice. It won't um, give the expected outputs or the outcomes. That skill transfer, that understanding of, which are the problem, what is the problem statement, what are the pain points, where exactly this delegation, this delegating, or this automation will solve for me. So I think that's a very, very good point that you made.
Yeah, absolutely. A world that does not exist where you are working an hour per week or 1 day per week. If you're getting into entrepreneurship for that, that just isn't realistic. You are going to be working more, essentially. What you get is the benefit of entrepreneurship is you can decide your own hours. You have far more freedom along it, that comes with it. You can, take that holiday without asking for leave if you really want to, and take however much you want. But you will be working. This is not a no work zone. So the more you delegate, the more you automate, the more you get complacent about things, the more your business will suffer. So keep it in mind.
That's a very, 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 I think, very crucial takeaway, especially for anyone who is contemplating or thinking about kind of the glamorous side that is kind of shown to us when it comes to entrepreneurship, or doing a startup. That because I have personally, I am personally going through that, not myself, but I've seen my co-host in an Avik, that
Yeah.
even if weekend is there, still we are working, we are trying to be creative, we're trying to think, discuss, strategize. And I'll be very honest, Elijah, although I'll not advocate for like working 24/7, no, because at the end of the day, we have to look at this holistically, because as a founder, as an entrepreneur, if you are not in your right place, or you're in right state of heart and mind and body, then who exactly is going to run that company, or put that idea into something tangible, uh, put that execution into place? So yes, I advocate for that, but then also I think, if doing this and working even during holidays or sometimes weekends, or when it requires, actually requires, if it brings fulfillment to me and satisfaction, then even if I'm a bit tired, then I'll also very mindfully think about, okay, this maybe 1 hour or half an hour, I'll just keep for myself. I'll recharge, I'll rejuvenate, and then I'll get back to what I love to do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. Now, people talk about, work-life balance, and I think with entrepreneurship, there really isn't a linear balance where, you work a 9 to 5, or you work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., then you have 5 p.m. to the rest of the night off with your family, whatever. Things are much more flexible. And that is the balance that you're finding, that you'll discover as an entrepreneur, that you will find, like, you might need to work on the weekends, like you said, but then you might have a Wednesday where you can just go and spend some time to do something else, and you'll find a flexible balance. And it's so important to retain that. Otherwise, what will happen is you'll just end up burning yourself out. There are, of course, times when you're doing an important sprint or things are very, very busy, especially the business owner. Those times will come, and you'll have to focus on those times. But also keep in mind that you cannot get yourself burnt out, because that will also result in your business suffering. For instance, I'm regularly go to the gym. I'm a martial artist. I take time off from time to time to pursue my hobby, like mountaineering as well. Um, and I do take holidays from time to time as well, which is a thing with entrepreneurs. There's a massive social media mindset of grind, 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 grind. That isn't realistic. You're going to burn yourself out. And all those people who are saying that are not following that lifestyle either. So find your own balance and keep your hobbies and keep your passions and whatever else is outside of work, and that will help your business grow.
Definitely, definitely. Um, now, let's also try to understand the hard truth, like distribution and then to product. So, Elijah, what channel or relationship moved the needle for you the most? Like if you can be like very specific, like any particular channel.
So we're going to talk about Accentify at the moment, my
Yeah.
company at the moment. Yeah.
About Accentify, yeah.
Yeah. So funnily enough, so the main demographic realistically is graduate actors who are, they're coming out of drama school, 20, maybe a year younger, 19, to fresh alumni, 21 to 25, and then the professional actors. And the reason I have that specific age range is most people quit acting within the first 5 years, right? So we have a little bit of a wider age range of 20 to maybe 30, right? Of actors. Now we can talk about a complete separate demographic where which is related to voice AI, which is realistically what the app is building. But we can talk about that in a minute. You would think this demographic is you'd find them on Instagram and TikTok, but the thing which moved the needle the most was Facebook, which is interesting to say. So Facebook groups still exist and extremely powerful. The data does not lie. Most people are still on Facebook. Um, and there's a reason for this. Like specific channels are used for specific things. Like Instagram is a much more visual, entertainer based approach. But if you're trying to curate leads, that place is not going to be on things like Instagram and TikTok. Of course, you can do so, but it's much harder. And the ways you have to do it require more effort. Making creatives and regularly posting content, engaging with influencers, or creating UGC campaigns, whatever it might be. This is a lot more work than the results you're going to get for it. It might be higher quality, but it's going to be harder. And at the beginning, what moved the needle the most when we launched our waitlist and we started getting traction was Facebook groups, very specifically.
Oh, mm. Yeah. I agree with you on this because this kind of has been an observation at our end as well, and so it's kind of a surprise observation that we came across that the groups, the engagement is still happening mostly on Facebook. So I think that's a very interesting insight.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think what I'd say is it is evolving slightly more. Like that Reddit helped a lot as well at the time, but Reddit, you have to keep in mind, sentiment on Reddit is very aggressive. So keep that in mind. Facebook is much more neutral and open. There's different emotional, like profiles on all these social media networks as well, and how people interact in all these channels. So when you're going and just putting your content out there, keep in mind that like the same person on Reddit could act differently on Facebook, could act differently on Instagram, and then Discord or somewhere else. That same person. There's an emotional profile that comes with all these channels. So keep that in mind when you're going out there and you're starting to get traction as well.
Definitely. And let's say, Elijah, if one of this channel vanished tomorrow, um, what is your plan B that doesn't rely on platforms liking you?
What would be our plan if those channels don't exist anymore? That's not going to be great for anybody in the world, really, considering how reliant people are on the internet and social media channels now. Has made life a whole lot easier. However, we are doing partnerships with worldwide drama schools, some of the best schools in the world, right? So you have Juilliard in America, you have RADA and Lambda in the UK, Guildhall, Guildford. There are so many different schools that we plan on partnering with. That's in our aims and our targets. And some of these conversations have started. As an actor myself and my co-founder is a professional accent coach, we have the industry realistically at our fingertips. So we know where to go, we know who to talk to, the streets in real life where actors hang out, how to engage with them. And I have that whole network of real life people around me. And that has also been extremely helpful in getting the app to where it wants to get to. We've surpassed beyond the demographic of actors already, but that demographic I know extremely deeply. We have very, very deep domain knowledge. So, yeah, social media is great, but we're not fully reliant on it. In fact, we're going to be doing an in-person launch very soon with like 200 people, 200, 300 people in real life. We're doing online stuff as well, but there's a whole launch party happening very soon.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And one final, I think, aspect that we have to talk about, because this blend is not just about business or entrepreneurship. It's always like blending in psychology, mental health, the holistic health of entrepreneurs. Um, Elijah, because you also are a martial artist, and we have actually touched upon the aspect in there. What's the hardest psychological habit you had to build to keep going? Let's say rejection tolerance or focus, or recovery.
Yeah, this is a great question. The hardest, hmm. I think for me personally, it has to be rejection tolerance. As an actor, we get rejected left, right, and center. Like I get more rejections in a month than people would get in 20 lifetimes of being alive. That's just the nature of being an actor. It's extremely cutthroat. And again, one massive reason why people quit. Entrepreneurship is not very different to that. When you're going for funding to angels or VCs, internally as well, when a rejection does not have to be simply somebody saying no to you. Rejection can be manifested in different ways. It could be a user canceling their subscription. It could be someone leaving you a bad review. It could be your app not or business not going where it wants to for the next month, you missing out on a KPI, all of these things. You have to be able to not have a breakdown all the time and all this stuff happens. Having a thick skin and understanding how to manage rejection in a healthy manner is extremely important. And that's been a core skill for me.
I do agree with you, and that's what even I was thinking at the back of my mind. Because of the time constraint, we couldn't. But I think there's so many parallels here between acting, and entrepreneurship, and I think especially the rejection tolerance. And yes, it can be very daunting, very overwhelming. Uh, we have been through so many moments where we got some negative feedback, some very surprising questions, and moments of doubt and all. But yeah, I think sometimes it can be a really, really fun way to learn so much about yourself.
Absolutely. I agree. And it's a key part in the growth process. And don't take rejection personally. It's usually never ever personal. And the people who do make it personal, they didn't have good intentions in the first place, and that's more of a reflection on the person they are. And again, I say this with a pinch of salt because it never is personal. There's always a reason behind it, which is not personal. So use it as a growth mechanism more than anything, and keep going.
That's a very important advice. That's a very important advice, not only to entrepreneurs or to anyone out there who's listening to us. So Elijah, before we wrap up, if our listeners they would like to connect with you, and explore more about Accentify, what will be the best way?
Yeah, to connect with me personally, the best place to go is on my Instagram. My Instagram handle is I am Elijah Khan, and that's spelled Elijah Khan is spelled Elijahkhan. I am Elijah Khan. And you can find out more about Accentify by going to our website, accentify.co.uk. That's Accentify, accentify.co.uk. We're also on the Play Store, we're on the App Store. Just search in Accentify and we'll pop up and you can download the app and get learning. It's a free app, free to learn any accent in the world, Australian, English, American, Irish. We have an Indian accent course coming out as well. Um, we're going to have over 100 accent courses in time. So, yeah, check it out.
That's awesome. I'm definitely going to do that. And listeners, I invite all of you to check out Accentify. And to make it easier for you, I'll have all the details and links in the show notes. So just refer to them along with
Amazing.
this episode on your favorite podcast platform. And if I can say, just to wrap up, kind of a summary here, I think we often glamorize the leap. And today we heard the ledger behind it, the costs you refuse to keep paying, the features you refuse to keep shipping, and the habits you refuse to abandon when it gets loud. So, listeners, all I can say, Accentify isn't just a tool, it's a decision to turn a personal friction into communal momentum. And if you are building from a bruise, good. That's where honesty lives. Until then, I'm Sana. This is BizBlend. Build bravely, measure honestly, and we'll see you in the next one. And Elijah, thank you so much. This was such an insightful conversation.
Thank you so
It
much for
was
having me. Thank you. It's been amazing.